What's happening, people? I'm here with the main man.
It's the champ.
Make sure you tune into Pep Talk UK, where it talks boxing and
big up.
Thank you, AJ.
Pep Talk UK.
It's time!
Everyone talk good game, but it don't really faze me. The man that ain't mad like Max, the boy that not murky like Ace B. And them guy walk the slide on the back, balling like a baby.
Oi, oi. Welcome to the Pep Talk UK Sports Podcast, the podcast that talks the major boxing and football news from around the globe, real points of view from a real panel. Hashtag Real Talk on Pep Talk. Please subscribe to Pep Talk UK on iTunes and YouTube. Don't forget to like, share and comment. Now, I'm your host, Frankie B, and I'm joined by the French Pep Talk boy, Pascal. How you doing?
Jusqu'ici, tout va bien, Frankie B. I'm very well and excited. And yourself?
I'm all good. We've got an extended bunch of interviews this week. Let's get cracking. Ladies and gents, for the fight fans locked in, for the football fans locked in, now it's time for some real talk on Pep Talk. Let's go. Now AJ versus Joseph Parker is on. It's been confirmed. They've had the presser. It is a reality. We will see unification come March the 31st, Pascal.
It is superb. It is official, like a referee with a whistle. We're going to see, a much anticipated fight, and what, Frankie B, it's exciting because the fans, have a voice, through social media, through Twitter, Facebook, the fans demanded this fight. We all wanted this fight. Even, casuals wanted this fight. And we just want to see an undisputed world heavyweight champion. And it looks like a night on March 31st is going to be that way.
Indeed, and it looks like it's part of the business plan of Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. Get the full scrap, and then move on to a complete unification of all titles with Deontay Wilder. But they've got to get past Joseph Parker. He's very, very quick. He keeps talking about his chin. He keeps talking about AJ's chin. So, even though a lot of people expect AJ to be the favourite, I do think it's going to be a lot closer than what people expect. You got to remember, titles on the line, prize on the line, and whoever wins this fight is leading to more or less boxing immortality.
I agree, Frankie B. For me, the only weakness in Anthony Joshua's chin is the bump fluff in his goatee, but there's nothing else, As far as I'm concerned, Joseph Parker is the competitive fight, Unfortunately for Joseph Parker, the performances against Joseph Takam and Hughie Fury, whilst have been, notable, have not really set the world on fire. I don't think he's added any more fans to his Twitter following those fights, so people are pretty much don't even know that he's in those two fights, because those fights, unfortunately, for his profile have not been exciting. But this fight for him will elevate him to world status, and just only because Anthony Joshua is behind it and he's in the ring with him, But you get a lot of interest from around the world, These are the kind of fights that get the interest from around the world, and I think for Matchroom, as you said before, is definitely the way forward for them to secure another belt and to also put together a momentous fight with Deontay Wilder on the basis that both fighters are supposed to do what they're supposed to do. Now, on paper, Joshua having a knockout ratio of almost 100%, we expect Anthony. We expect Joshua, to dispatch of Joseph Parker. There are rumors that, at this present moment in time, Joshua is a bit leaner, a bit lighter. So, there were talks of Joshua being robotic and being too heavy in attacking can fight. And even he admitted that every fight is different, and there's a lot of pressure on Joshua to dispatch of his opponents very quickly. But I think for this fight, he would take notice. He would note that Parker is a much more mobile, opposition. He's good on his feet. He's not the tallest, so I expect a Parker to try and throw the overhand. To try and catch him on that chin that he talks about. But the mobility in this fight will be key, Frankie B, because you have a smaller, shorter fighter in Parker that has got good movement for a heavyweight boxer.
Well, AJ talks about tactically, he hasn't hit it. He says, look, I'm going to go to the body and I'm going to break him down. Funny enough, as quick as Joseph Parker is, he does leave himself a bit open, to take shots. So AJ is definitely not the man that you want to allow, a free hit on, as they say. You've got Joseph Parker who likes to attack, he likes to come forward, and you've got AJ who likes to come forward. It's because I believe that when AJ goes to fight, he has only one purpose in his mind. He needs to knock out his opponent. So, he doesn't really play the long game, of wanting to box to the very end, and he's built almost his boxing style in taking care of his fights within, the first 6 rounds, whereas Joseph Parker, in his, to his credit, he's the type of boxer that's able to last the full 12 rounds, and out of his 24 fights, he's also had 18 wins by KO, so he has a decent knockout ratio himself. So, and he's an undefeated fighter. So I think that in the mind of Joseph Parker, he's going to tell himself, he's going to go in there quite confident, Frankie B, because he hasn't tasted defeat. He has 18 knockouts out of 24 fights. It's not a bad record, to be brutally honest, Frankie B. So, you could argue that boxers like that are quite dangerous because in their own mind they believe that they are great. And, everybody will tell you that, victory starts in the mind. And if you're mentally strong, you can withstand a lot of difficulties, particularly in boxing. So we've seen in the press conferences in the build-up that, David Higgins and Joseph Parker have accused Anthony Joshua of being mentally weak. They've also accused him of not being able to withstand a proper punch to the chin. So to me, that implies that they want AJ to come for him. They want him to be angry. They want him to charge forward so that they can try and get AJ in the counter. I think that it will be difficult and dangerous for Parker to try and take it to AJ, because we've seen on the Klitschko fight that AJ can respond quite aggressively if you go at him, if you charge him. I believe that the game plan for the Parker corner will be to try and catch AJ on the counter, because Parker himself has got some good speed and good mobility, so he will be in his advantage to almost allow Anthony Joshua to throw the shots, and based on his roboticness, Parker will try and capitalize on that and create openings. So I believe the angles will be very key for Parker, but at the same time, as he tested the power that AJ will be, inflicting on him. And you know what? I think we're going to find out from both fighters whether they can fight on the back foot, because as much as Parker likes to go forward, we need to see what he's like going backwards. And AJ as well, he's used to being in control, marching forward and literally just, unloading on his opponent. It's going to be interesting to see how both cope, because they're both come forward fighters.
I agree.
It's going to be a fantastic night of boxing, as always. In Cardiff. Shout out my Cardiff crew. Now it's interview time. And this week it's an interview bonanza. Shazmac, Heavy D, and myself have been busy out there. First up, let's hear from the super lightweight from an esteemed boxing family. It's Harlem Eubank. It's Harlem Eubank, who's joined by his well-respected trainer, Adam Booth. Oi, oi. It's Frankie B reporting for Pep Talk. I'm joined by Heavy D.
Boom! What's going on?
All good. And I'm joined by a man from a famous boxing family. It's Harlem Eubank. How you doing?
How's it going, man?
Now, when I think of Harlem, I'm not going to lie to you, I think of the Dipset, I think of Jim Jones, I think of Cameron, I think of Harlem Globetrotters, I think of Joel Santana. But you know what? 2018, I'm thinking more about Harlem Eubank. It's 2018, brother. What's going to go on for this year?
It's going to be a big year. I'm currently 3-0, and I want to get a lot of fights in this year. I want to push on to 10-0, get busy with the fights and just improve, get schooled.
I know you're back out in March off the back of a good win a few months ago. Do you know much about your opponent for March?
I'm not sure about the opponent yet. Just training and getting ready to get a lot of fights and starting the 3rd of March, and I want to get busy this year.
Okay, and how's training go towards it? I mean, Christmas wasn't long ago. We've all had a lot of turkey, including myself. I had a few mince pies. Heavy's been...
I've been hard. I've been training.
He's training. He's got a fight up and coming. You know, he's in war mode. Yeah. Harlem's in war mode.
For me, it's every day. Boxing is a lifestyle, and that's the way that I've been showing it from the beginning. That's watching Chris Eubank Jr., my cousin. That's the way he lives it. Every day training. So Christmas didn't change anything for me. It's just same training schedule every day, working on things.
And what about you actually getting into the sport? I mean, how did you... Obviously, you're from a famous boxing family. How did you get started?
Like I said, I was always interested in combat, and at the age of 11, I stopped karate, and I got into football. At that age, all your mates playing football, so started playing football. After a year, I got scouted for Brighton Hove Albion, and then I was playing for them for 4 years. So I've always enjoyed competitive sport at a high level. And I've always strived to kind of be the best at it. So I started boxing I started for a year at 14. There was one fight I was meant to fight up in London. Went up there, and my opponent pulled out. But I came back to I had a football match the next day. I think it was against Crystal Palace, and come in the changing room. And all my teammates asking me how I got on. I was like, oh, he pulled out, whatever. Coach pulled me aside and said, you can't box. You can't box and play for us at the same time, because in case you get injured, we're gonna be short players. So at that point, I had to stop boxing. Carried on with football until the age of 18, and then I fell out of love with it and picked back up boxing. And now we're here.
I'm joined by the esteemed trainer of Harlem, Adam Booth. Any takes on how far he can go in the game?
Yes, I've got lots of takes on how far he can go in the game.
Obviously, because you're training.
I'm only interested in champions.
Champions, and he's going to be a champion, right?
You wouldn't be here if I didn't think so.
That's why you play DMX room when he's in the gym.
Do I play DMX for you? I'm an 80s boy. I don't play DMX.
Boy. So you more run DMC, right?
Yeah, I'm more sort of old school. I'm an old man now, so I can't get with this the younger evolution of rap music. It just doesn't do anything for me. No, you're clearly about 20 years, 15 years younger than me. But it's like he knows it's an indoctrination when you come to this gym that if you don't love, and I mean genuinely love, 80s music, you ain't here. And I can tell if they love it or not by the way they train to it.
Cracking stuff, Adam. Have you any questions for Harlem?
Yeah, I was going to say to you, so what's the best thing and the worst thing about being a boxer?
The best thing and the worst thing. I've never been asked that before. That's a good question. The best thing,
it's the six pack, right?
I've never really been interested in any like. When I'm training, it's not about the look for me. I've always trained for a specific outcome. So if you need a harder stomach to absorb punches, then I'm going to train that. If you need speed to hit people quickly, I'm going to train that. I've never really trained for look, so I wouldn't say that's one. I would say the drive that it gives you, and the discipline and the just the drive to come back better. Because when you're in that ring, especially when you first start in the game and you're taking punches and you don't quite know how to stop them coming. Yeah.
But you get used to it. You probably get conditioned to it. Me, I mean, as I said, I'm training for this Coogan fight. Coogan Cassius, by the way, in March. So it's like, you know. I'm taking punches to the face. I've got Barry Smith like pummeling me, like smashing me up. But you know what? It's all part of it. It's all part of it, isn't it? Like, you know, Go on.
That's the thing. When you first start out, punches are coming towards your face, and your natural instinct is to blink, turn away.
Yeah, and it gets real.
You put your hands up, but you don't quite know how to defend. Yeah. And at the same time, you got to throw punches back. So it feels very unnatural. And at that point, I think it gives you a drive to think, how can I come back and how can I block that punch? How can I duck that? How can I get out of the way and throw back? And it kind of gives you the drive to improve. And I mean, since day one, I've never lost that. So I've always strived to do better and to learn the craft in the ring.
Right. I'll just say one more. So, would you class yourself as a boxer or a fighter?
I think you need a bit of both. But I love the skill side of things. I'd say I'm a box fighter. Yeah. I love watching guys with skills, breaking it down and trying to recreate the style. So I'd say box fighter. You can't deny the love of skills in boxing. That's what attracted me to it. Seeing guys with flair, fighters like Sugar Ray, Pernell Whitaker.
Yeah. I was going to go
He's going deep. Cracking stuff from Heavy D and myself. We'd like to thank Harlem. And we'd like to wish you all the best for your fight in March, mate. Cracking stuff.
Future world champion. Future. It's the future of boxing.
Pep Talk. Go follow these guys.
Cracking. Thank you, guys. Cracking stuff. Right, next up we hear from an exciting cruiserweight. It's Kevin Melhus.
Pep Talk UK bringing you an exclusive with a friend of mine from the past, a friend of the show, Mr. Kevin Melhus. How you doing, Kevin?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm doing good here in London, finally.
Kevin, you're in London. What are you doing here? Tourist?
Yeah, actually, I have a fight coming up February 3rd. So I'm here for sparring, for work, and I have been here for 1 week now. And it's great. Been enjoying the city and quality sparring, at least.
I will come back to you on the sparring because I like the boys you've been sparring, but you've got a fight coming up. It's going to be your 4th fight in Norway, the homecoming Sauerland promotion. Who are you fighting?
I'm fighting Hungarian. His name is István Kun. I believe he has now 14 professional fights. He won 7 of them, yeah, for me it's a step in the right direction. I'm looking forward to the fight. I'm in great shape, and I'm now in the final stages of my preparations. So yeah, here we are.
We last met at the in Norway, Oslo, when Celia Brækhus was fighting Svensson. How have you progressed since then? How's training been? How's your regime been?
Yeah, since then I've been more physical. I have focused on my physical athletics performance, like the strength, conditionings, and also I have had 2 fights since then, so a little bit more experienced, I believe. But mainly focus has been on the strength and conditioning.
Melhus Promotions.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So after I fought in Spectrum with the First Lady Promotions, I figured out it's best to start myself. So we started Melhus Promotions, which is now one of 2 promotions in Norway. We had our first event October 21st in my hometown in Skien. It went great, but it was a lot of work, man. You can't believe it's so much, every detail and preparations you have to be involved with. So it took a lot of focus, but I learned a lot.
You even had workouts in shopping centres.
Yeah, to promote the fight. So yeah, that's a part of the job.
Coming back to your training within the UK, you spent a week in London. You've been at a gym in Bethnal Green, training or getting trained alongside your coach from Lance Okoli, Brian, his coach. You've been doing some sparring. How have you got on?
Yeah, went great. I've been sparring Lance Okoli. Yeah, the guy is unbelievable. He is Olympian. He's a British champion. He is European champion. I mean, and he's so tall, man.
He's got a big right hand as well.
Yeah, he's got a great big reach, and yeah, you know, the GB school, they are really educated in boxing. So for me to spar with this quality is exceptional. It's great, really.
On top of which, you've had a few rounds with Joshua Barazzi as well.
Yeah, I got a couple of rounds with Barazzi, and I can say it right now, that guy's gonna be world champion one day. Believe me.
Josh, you're hearing this, brother. You're going to be world champion.
Yeah.
Stated by a boxer I got a lot of time and respect for, Mr. Kevin Melhus. That's quite something there, Josh.
Yeah.
Both very talented fighters.
Yeah.
Sure. In terms of the sparring you get around Europe and in the UK, has this been a productive week for you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, back in Scandinavia, there are limitations to how many people who are involved with boxing, especially in my weight class. So when we come here to the UK, there's a lot of people that are skilled boxers on my level that I can spar with and play with. So I'm definitely coming back here to spar again, and we'll see when that will be.
Kevin, I'll be completely honest with you. You're my favourite Norwegian male boxer. You're not my favourite Norwegian boxer for obvious reasons, because Miss Cecilia Brax is very good looking. But when she retires, you will take that mantle, and you will be my favourite Norwegian boxer.
Thank you. That means much with me.
We thank you for your time once again. Good luck with the fight on the 3rd. No doubt you're going to win, and no doubt we're going to be meeting each other again and interviewing you, because as much as you were very complimentary to Joshua Barazzi, I have a very funny feeling you're going to go a long way in this profession.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your stay. Go and see the sights.
Thanks, man.
See you later, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. The British beef bill at the O2 Arena in London is almost upon us, and we hear from one of the fighters on the card. It's Charlie Edwards. Oi, oi, it's Frankie B, and I'm joined by a man who will fight at the O2 on February the 3rd. It's none other than Charlie Edwards. How you doing?
How you doing, mate? Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks. Just finished up in the gym, but really looking forward to Feb the 3rd. So yeah, it's full on now. We're looking like we've got our opponent secured this week, and now it's time to push on.
Okay, cracking stuff. So, fighting on a massive bill, Coley versus Chamberlain bill. You're on there. There's going to be a big crowd there. Just about starting the year right, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Especially after last year, I had a bit of a not a very great year, because I only had 2 fights. Even though I won my British title in April, I didn't get the opponent that I wanted towards the end of the year. It fell through last minute visa problems and that, so we had to take a last minute opponent which we weren't impressed with. So yeah, it was a bit of a bad year last year, so it's good to get out there, get straight in there, and Feb the 3rd on the first show, and then push on to as many fights as I can this year. I want to keep really busy. Although last year wasn't my best year in the ring, I learned a hell of a lot in the last year working with Adam and the team, and I come on leaps and bounds, and you'll see that on Feb the 3rd.
Just a quick question. I mean, how did you manage to maintain a 6-pack over Christmas, mate?
No, it's dedication in it, hard work and dedication. Don't get me wrong, I still had little bits, and I still enjoy Christmas Day. Even though I did run Christmas Day, I still ate like the nice foods and that, just to be a bit normal. And if anything, it gives you that little bit of guilt going into the new year, and then you push on and you burn it off. We train that hard all year round. I'm an athlete, so one day ain't gonna hurt me.
But like Craig Richter says, we're working.
Yeah, that's it. We're always working.
All right, cracking. Well, Charlie, we'd like to wish you the best for February the 3rd and the massive bill. We'll be right behind.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and thanks for following me, and follow me up if you're not already, and thanks for having me on the channel at Pep Talk.
Cracking stuff. Thank you, Charlie. All the best on February the 3rd. Finally, we turn our attentions once more to supporting non-league football. Let's hear from the AFC Hornchurch striker, George Purcell.
Pep Talk UK at the home of the Urchins, Hornchurch AFC with quality striker. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, thanks, yeah.
George, that was a fantastic goal at the end of the game to win the game, 5-4. Tell me how it went down.
It's just a good ball in behind. The defender went to win it and managed to nick it around him and just shot past the keeper.
You've been at the club for 5 seasons now, is it?
Yeah, 5 seasons.
200 up this year?
Yeah.
With a hint of promotion, where are we going this year?
Hopefully, it keeps staying the way it's going. Even if we play bad, we manage to get results, and hopefully me, Brad, Leon, Theo can all keep scoring and get promotion.
You had a hand in the 4th goal as well. You got a dirty chop.
Yeah, I thought I could have gone through, but he just caught me before I went. Thought I was hopefully get 1 more yard and I was in the box, so I'd have got a penalty, but didn't get it.
And you've bagged a few, 5 goals today for the team, but you've bagged a few for the season. I think you're leading scorer.
That's my, I think, 17th goal now, so it's going alright. Just hopefully can get more until the end of the season.
Well, you've got some tough games coming up for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
We wish you the best of luck. Come on, you Urchins.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, buddy.
Cracking stuff. Thank you, George. Right, now it's football time. So as ever, Pascal, we're going to predict some of the games this weekend in the Premier League. Now, games are still ongoing. The transfer market is going crazy at the moment. There's some big deals floating about. Let's focus on predicting some of the games now. The first game we're going to predict is Brighton versus Chelsea. Now, Chelsea, they seem to cemented this tag as the 3rd best team in England. You know, you got the 2 Manchester teams, and their manager, he's talking a lot of stuff. He's saying they're asking him, you know, are you going to be there at the end of the season? And he's saying that anything can happen, which is really not going to help, you know, Chelsea in the long run. But to the game itself, Brighton versus Chelsea. How are you seeing this one, Pascal?
Well, you know what, Frankie, to me, Chelsea this season seem to have lacked their Vavavu, you know, and last season they were plowing along like a Lamborghini, and this season they seem to be more like a Fiat at the moment. They're not putting away the teams that we expected them to win, and some of the signings like Morata, Batshuayi are proving to be not so good signings. So after the performance against Leicester, you know, Brighton will fancy themselves, you know. Brighton will consider it an opportunity to, you know, they saw what happened to Bournemouth against Arsenal, and they don't see why not, you know. Maybe the seaside might just be that antidote, you know. And you know, city slickers don't like to be in the seaside during the winter. So I fancy a potential surprise win, you know, for Brighton. And also there's talks of Conte leaving Chelsea. There's talks of him going back to Italy and to coach the Italian team. So I fancy Brighton. I do fancy Brighton to win.
So what's the scoreline?
For me, if you look at Chelsea, where the goals coming from, Hazard is not scoring, Morata is not scoring, you know, Diego Costa is no longer with them. Where the goals coming from? I would say to you that it will be a 2-1 win. I'm going for a 2-0 Chelsea victory. Chelsea, they showed themselves to be half decent against teams in the lower half of the league. Now moving on to the London derby at the Emirates. Now Arsenal, as usual, Arsenal always in crisis. Theo Walcott's left. Sanchez, by the time this podcast is aired, could be at Man United or even Chelsea. So Arsenal again, their team needs reconstructing. For me, against Crystal Palace, who are going good guns with Roy Hodgson. For me, I'm looking at a draw for this game. What about you, Pascal? Well, you know, Palace are on form, you know, and Wilfried Zaha is a player on fire. And against Arsenal, he will fancy himself, you know. He certainly will.
Yep.
Very big resurgence. I think that he was a bit unlucky that he didn't have a very good start to the season, and you know, he had some injury problems, but he performed that way up until January. Believe you me, he would have been one of the players talked about during the transfer window, and I think that his days at Crystal Palace are numbers if he carries on playing like that. I can see him playing for a top 4 team, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Chelsea or Tottenham or anybody like that. So I think that it would be a very difficult game, particularly for Arsenal, because Arsenal are on edge. They're a team that desperately need the points. And you know, a team that desperately need the points may well play with the lack of peace that is required. You know, they will be quite anxious to score, very edgy, and you know that leads to mistakes in the game. And I think that will be a draw. You know, I certainly see Crystal Palace going in first and will score in the early goal. And I see Arsenal labouring back to a draw. You know, they are really missing the likes of Olivier Giroud. And they may not be in the talisman of Sanchez may also will have left, so it's going to create a big void in the team, and I think it's going to be a much more difficult game than we expect, and I expect a score draw.
Okay, well, moving on to a couple of other games now. Man City could not be invincible this season, as we all know. They lost to Liverpool. Now they're playing Newcastle at home at the Etihad. What score you seen? You know, for me, this is a formality. They're going to bounce back, no problem. Let's say 4-0 again.
It's true, Frankie B. Listen, Liverpool played an exceptional game, and it was 4-1 for Liverpool for quite some time until City showed their quality by scoring again. And you know, if you had given them another 10-15 minutes, they could have potentially even equalized and win the game. So I think that Newcastle stand no chance against Manchester City, and it's going to be a goal fest. And I expect 2+ goals at least. You know, call it 3-0.
Okay, the last two games that we're going to predict: Southampton at home to Spurs on Super Sunday. Now, Southampton not doing really well this season, basically in the relegation zone. 1 point off Stoke. They're not looking great this season after selling a lot of their players. Van Dijk's gone also as well. For me, Spurs, after a few rocky results, Harry Kane is breaking records left, right and centre. He's recently broken Teddy Sheringham record for Premier League goals for Spurs. I see definitely a Spurs victory. 2-0.
Harry Kane is just a beast of a player, and you know, I believe he will finish up top goal scorer this season by a mile, you know, by a margin, providing that he doesn't get injured. It's what he's doing in the Premier League is unbelievable. But most importantly it just goes to show the firepower that Manchester City have, because you know, a player of Harry Kane's quality, scoring goals consistently, and yet Spurs are still trying to break into that top 4. It just shows the competitiveness of the Premier League. But unfortunately for Southampton, it's coming for them, and I can see Harry Kane scoring at least 2 goals during that game. You know, it is going to be another 2-3 goals. You know, it's just he's unstoppable at the moment, and I can expect him to score 2 goals at least, maybe even 3.
So 2 or 3-0. Swansea at the Liberty Stadium take on Liverpool. Well, Monday Night Football. Now, Liverpool, as much as they conceded a few late goals to Man City, literally that attack of theirs is scary. Mane, Salah, Firmino, Oxlade-Chamberlain breaking from the attacking midfield spot left by Coutinho. This could be a very long night for Swansea also. I'm saying 3-0.
Swansea are as good as gone, you know, Frankie B. I don't think that they will be climbing back into the Premier League. I think they'll be relegated. The problem with Swansea is that they're not scoring enough goals, and they are conceding a lot of goals also. Could be anything, but I would say at the very least Liverpool will score 2 goals, you know, at the very least.
Oh, Liverpool are flying, and as the old song used to say, pass a move is a Liverpool groove. Now, Pascal, that's our time. I'd like to thank all the listeners for tuning in. Join us again next week for another Pep Talk UK podcast. Please leave your comments in the box below and check us out next week. Subscribe, please. Thank you. Pep Talk UK.